And kid, you got nothing to lose over the next 3.5 hours.
Terrell Hunt tore his Achilles against URI in the opener. Eric Dungy last week suffered a concussion against Central Michigan. So for the second consecutive year, Syracuse already has 4 different players taking snaps at quarterback in regular season action.
In the dome making a little bit of noise. LSU traveled well. And Zach, just breathe. In and out.
Trent Domang sends it deep. Grizzly Esteem, returnable from the goal line. And Syracuse off to a terrific start. They'll have great field position for a quarterback that took a very interesting route to starting today against LSU. Shannon Spakes down on the field with more.
That's right, Bob. You and Brock just mentioned the road for Zach Mahoney. Last week when Scott Schaefer looked at him and told him to warm up because he was going in the game, Schaefer said a huge smile came over Mahoney's face. Think about it. 9 months ago, he was at the College of DuPage. He sent an email to offensive coordinator Tim Lester pitching himself to the university. Well, Lester bought it. Since he's been here, Scott Schaefer said he's one of the hardest workers. In fact, some nights he'd see him putting in extra time and say, he does know he's the 5th string, right? Most recently, he ran the scout team as a quarterback, and it is the work ethic that had him earn this position here today.
Well, they respect him. They think he's got a little bit of moxie, and on first down gives it to Devontae McFarland, maybe a half yard, as Devon Gottschall and Lewis Neal combine on the first tackle of the game for LSU. But the last time before today that Zach Mahoney started, he started against Lindenwood Belleville, an NAIA school. By the way, he didn't even start against their varsity. He started against their JV team. Now he's out there against LSU.
Fantastic. Go make the most of your opportunity.
A slant, and he's 1 for 1. Steve Ishmael about 3 yards shy of a first down. And how good will Syracuse have to be on third down today?
Oh, fantastic. And it's been a trouble spot against Central Michigan and Wake Forest. 2 of their last 17 and going up against one of the country's best. But easy completion, little handoff. All right, just make sure, as I said, you can breathe. You can call the play in the huddle. You throw a nice, easy, high completion percentage, little slant. And now you put yourself in a very favorable and manageable 3rd and 3.
Just to pick up a first down against this defense on your opening possession would be huge. Flag down, and trying to move the pile to the first down marker is McFarland. It looks like he's got it if the play stands.
This could be offsides on LSU. Looked like they may have lined up in the neutral zone.
Illegal formation, 5 players in the backfield, 5-yard penalty. We're down.
That's Tom Ritter, our referee. Bad news for Scott Schaefer's team, as now they will be facing 3rd down and a long 7 close to 8.
And those are the little bumps and the little hiccups. So you will see Syracuse a lot today play with 2 tight ends. They call one of them an H-back, a hybrid player. Oftentimes those guys in motion, lining up in the backfield. Maybe a veteran sees that receiver that's got to get up on the line of scrimmage in that moment. Unfortunately, a freshman is just trying to get the snap. Is just trying to function. The walk-on making a first start here. It's a critical error for Syracuse early.
They'll go empty on 3rd and long. 4-man rush for LSU, and it gets there. Dodging the rush, though, is Mahoney. Trying to keep the play alive. He lost the football. A scramble for it, and it's 4th down. It is a recovery by Syracuse as Lewis Neal eventually tracked down Zach Mahoney, who got loose with the football. It's a different level of speed out there defensively than he's ever seen before.
It sure is, and you have got to be so aware. LSU is going to fly around sideline to sideline as well as anybody in this country defensively, and that was too bad because the initial protection and stepping up in the pocket, there was a completion to move the sticks on the outside, a little curl route outside. But unfortunately, Mahoney's eyes, the minute he's going to step up, it's going to look at the people around him. And that's a difficult injury there for LSU up front. That looks like Bauer, the defensive end. That's a thin group to begin with, Bob. You know, they count on Arden Key, the true freshman defensive end. And of any position group on this LSU team, that defensive end position still trying to learn a lot of their depth.
So we'll step aside while Tashawn Bauer is being looked for Zach Mahoney throughout this afternoon. Deshaun Bauer being looked at over on the LSU sideline. Syracuse set to punt. Riley Dixon will kick it away, and it's Tre'Davious White back for the Tigers to receive. Papa Schusen here with Brock Hewitt and Shannon Spake. And it will be a learning curve for a young quarterback all afternoon.
It sure will. We were just talking there, and you're 100% spot on about that clock. The quarterback clock that you hear so much about in a progression kind of read. And it was too bad there as he stepped up into the pocket. Mahoney's going to see that one tomorrow on tape. So he had a real opportunity to move the chains if I'd have just slowed my clock down a little bit.
Riley Dixon with an NFL punt. Tre'Davious White fields it at the 2. And he gets bottled up. That's a mistake by the LSU return man. And a big break for Syracuse as they will have field position on their side. That's a 56-yard punt. And now our first opportunity to see a player that is drawing comparisons, Brock, to legendary running backs.
Some of the greats in the game because it's just the rare athleticism. It's Bo Jackson, it's Herschel Walker, it's Earl Campbell, and in this stadium it's Jim Brown back in the day. A lot of that's hyperbole for a kid that's still a true sophomore, but just the natural God-given talent. And outside the tackles, one of the country's best at 235 pounds. Between the tackles, willing to step on your chest plate and run right through you. He's a joy to watch.
Here's his first carry, right up the gut. The pile moves for about 4 yards, and Shannon, he certainly has respect for the guys that wore 44 here for the Cuse.
That's right, Bob. When he walked into the Dome yesterday for walkthrough, his eyes immediately went to the northeast end zone. That's where Jim Brown's picture is located. He also sent this tweet out last night thanking Brown, Ernie Davis, Floyd Little, the guys who came before him. I asked him about the Heisman talk, and he told me, when I think about that, I just think about representing all of the guys who played this position before I did.
He has his head screwed on exactly the way you would want for a superstar running back, or so it seems. Little end arounds to Traven Dural. And Dural gets bottled up short of the first down. So now it will be a third down, forced with a late flag thrown by the Syracuse defense.
After the ball was dead, personal foul, late hit with a quick pull.
That is a killer of a penalty called against Ron Thompson.
One of the real points of emphasis was that pursuit, not only on Leonard Fournette, but all the team speed that LSU has, and they really love some of their youngsters behind Fournette as well. And Syracuse has preached all week, Coach Schaefer's defensive coordinator, one of the good ones, Chuck Bola, you've got to get to the ball. You have got to play to the whistle. We have got to get so many hats there, making contact, making them know that we are going to bring the energy and bring the force. Not one guy, but multiple guys. That time, unfortunately, Thompson too late to the pile.
Fournette up the middle, lowers his shoulders out to the 33. That's a gain of 6 on first down.
Margin for error slim for Syracuse today. They've got to win special teams. They did so on a beautiful punt. Have an opportunity to force a 3rd and 8, get LSU out of their strength and into a known passing situation. A foolish penalty doesn't. Gets them outside of the 10-yard line. Syracuse cannot afford those kind of mistakes today.
Fournette again. Close to the first down. Maybe a half-yard shy. And the numbers that he has put up so far, mind-boggling, I think, Brock, on several levels. This is a team that's only played 2 games. And yet, with 2 performances, he's got 387 yards coming into today. 12th best in America, playing less games than everyone else has. And both of their first 2 contests, conference opponents. They had their first game of the season canceled because of weather against McNeese State, which is the game that most schools will have on their schedule that will really inflate early season statistics. So his stats not only are dominant, but they're legit. He's playing SEC defenses and putting up these numbers.
That's a good point, and it's been about his finish. came in, they called him the Michael Jordan of college football. 5-star recruit, the country's best, right there out of New Orleans a season ago. And it took a little while to get his legs underneath him. And what really stands out to me here in this month of September is that yards after contact. Just like you saw right there, he was hit. He was hit about a yard into that run, but he's able to carry 1, 2, 3 defenders. His ability after contact is what differentiates himself from the rest.
To that point, Syracuse is 3rd in FBS in rush defense, but they've played Rhode Island, Wake Forest, and Central Michigan. That's a far cry from Mississippi State and Auburn. Fournette again. Boy, it takes an army to bring him down, but eventually Syracuse does. Marquise Hodge was there first. Let's take a look at the impact players for Syracuse who has to play well.
Got to be right up the middle. The strength of any defense, and I don't care what the sport is. They play good defense in basketball, right? In their zone defense in the middle of that zone. Same thing in baseball, no different in football today. Zaire Franklin is their captain as a sophomore. Their middle linebacker, he flies to the ball. And the kid they call Giant, Antoine Cordy, just 5'8", $175 at safety. Those two up the middle have to be stout.
5 plays, 5 runs for LSU so far. Play action, and it'll be another run. And it won't go far for Brandon Harris. That looked like a designed quarterback run, no gain. 3rd down, and at least 6, if not 7, as John Raymond and Marquise Hodge were there for the Orange.
That's exactly right. That's going to be a little lead follow there by the quarterback. Brandon is a willing runner. I don't see a guy that wants to make a living running the football like a lot of dual threat quarterbacks. I think he knows his role. But this is the area I'd sure like to see growth in the LSU offense. And if Syracuse keeps it close today, 3rd downs just like this, they've got to get off the field.
Syracuse brings a blitz on 3rd down. Harris up the seam, incomplete. Intended for John Diarce. The Orange get a stop, and they're about to get the football back.
And that's one that you're going to circle for Brandon Harris. And I know a lot of LSU fans want to see some growth in this passing game. You get the protection you want. He has everything in front of him here. That's a ball that he has got to put on Diarce. Les Miles talking with Shannon before the game, said, I like where we're coming. We've had a good week of work. But if you're going to compete when it matters the most for these guys in November, the passing game's got to improve.
Syracuse almost got there, and it's a shanked punt. Jamie Keene, at the very least, was bothered by the Syracuse rush and shanked it out of bounds near midfield. Syracuse will have the football at their own 47-yard line. That is a 13-yard punt. It's almost becoming right out of getting field position.
Take a shot in this possession.
Zach Mahoney underneath, and a diving attempt incomplete, intended for Ben Lewis. It'll be 2nd down and 10.
Slow it down. I love the call from offensive coordinator Tim Lester, and you could feel some of the confidence they had as a staff. They know the position they're in. They got beat up at this position last year and just want to put Mahoney in a comfortable spot. Now you're going to get him out in a little bit of a wildcat look.
It's the true freshman Jordan Fredericks lining up to take the wildcat snap, something that Syracuse has not shown so far this season. And it's a dive for about a yard. So now it will be 3rd down and long as Arden Key in there for Deshaun Bauer now for LSU made the stop. Let's head down to Shannon.
Well, they brought Bauer off into the back area on crutches. He was favoring that left leg. They do have an x-ray facility here on site, so they brought him back to take some x-rays. We'll certainly update you as soon as the team tells me anything.
It's a pretty good replacement when you've got a freshman at 6'6", 231 coming off the edge. See if Arden Key tees off here. 3rd down and 8. Mahoney, long throw to the sideline. Short hops it. He had Ben Lewis trying to turn out. Ben Lewis had position. But it will be 3 downs and out for Syracuse, missing a chance with great field position.
You sure do, and that's where, as a staff, you've got to keep your patience here, and Scott Schaefer is going to tell him, well, just continue to relax. That's now 3 occasions, 3 different pass plays when they look at this tomorrow, and he's going to see a minus on his grade sheet. It can be a level of disappointment that you can do this, kid. I know you are a walk-on, but just step into these throws and execute the basics.
And isn't that even just a mild positive for Syracuse, that there are plays to be made, and once he settles down, maybe he makes some?
That's exactly right. You're not looking at the tightest of man coverage in an impossible window to throw to. No, three very doable completions.
This time a fair catch called for inside the 10-yard line by Tre'Davious White. So we'll step aside. Syracuse flips the field, but we're still scoreless. On ABC and streaming live on Watch ESPN. We've got a good running back in our game this afternoon. There's a pair that we'll be able to watch tonight.
Yeah, totally different systems. You can see fullback, tight end today. You can see up-tempo and spread tonight.
Second possession for LSU. Second time they're starting inside their 10. This time they'll start with Brandon Harris. Long throw to the sideline. Off play action to Malachi Dupree. And that is good for a first down.
He's got the arm talent. There's just no debate about that. And George Whitfield talking this week, in fact, about the elite arm talent, trying to shorten up the release. That's a nice route from Dupree. That's going to be there most of the afternoon. If LSU wants to throw one-on-one outside and throw comebacks in posts, that's the area that Syracuse defensively is going to give them. They will commit as many resources as they can to taking away the run first.
Play action again. Long throw to the sideline, near side. That's another completion. This time it's Trey Quinn. Makes a move, picks up a first down, and our first opportunity to check in with Adnan Burt.
All right, thank you very much, Bob. It's a Taco Bell studio update. Central Michigan and Michigan State, and Shalik Calhoun here, the blocked field goal for the Spartans, and they will take advantage. Madre London, his 3rd touchdown this season. That leads the team. Spartans up 7-0. Bob, back to you.
Right now, we're still scoreless as we are under 7 minutes to go in the first quarter. Syracuse forcing LSU to start inside their 10-yard line twice. And a false start now for the Tigers. Will make it 1st and 15.
Full start, 65, offense. 5-yard penalty remains first down.
Start with 6 runs, then you go 3 passes. This is a crew that's thrown it as little as anybody. In any pro-style system, only 21 completions through those first 2 games. I'd like to see a little more early down passing action.
Here it is again. And once again, on time is Brandon Harris. This time he's got John Diarse, who fights his way to the 42-yard line. Well, if there is a season-long question for LSU, isn't one of the big question marks at some point if one of these big SEC defenses stops Leonard Fournette and forces Brandon Harris to beat them? Can he do that?
That absolutely is a question, and he must get better over the next 4 weeks. Right now, no. Right now, if they're playing at Ole Miss or at Alabama, I don't think he's got the rhythm and the tempo in their passing game. But over the next 4 to 5 weeks with a favorable schedule, he has to get there. And frankly, outside of Mettenberger, that's been the question in Baton Rouge for a decade, Bob.
Quick toss to Fournette. Flags down. That play blown dead. Might be another false start.
False start, offense, 5-yard penalty, remains 2nd down.
Brandon's got more upside than Anthony Jennings. Brandon's got more upside than some of the predecessors before him. He doesn't have Mettenberger's arm and size and strength, and isn't going to play from the pocket. But the hope and the wish for Cam Cameron and this offensive group is to continue to be a run first. That's how this team is built, with tight ends and fullbacks and big powerful line, a center that's going to be a first rounder in the NFL, and bring that passing game along. And today, some favorable matchups on the perimeter to do just that.
Play action again. Here comes the pressure. Harris tries to keep the play alive, flips it back to Fournette, and he's down the sideline. What a play by Brandon Harris. Got it to his best player and somehow avoided a sack. And in the red zone is LSU.
That's big time. That's Marcus Mariota last year against Michigan State. We're going to talk about a quarterback development that's making the first guy miss, and then just the simple awareness of where everybody is. Jennings isn't making that play a year ago. That just highlights exactly to my point about a ceiling and where this kid can go. If you're panicking, if you're freaking out, if that clock is out of whack, as still a young quarterback as Brandon is, he doesn't have the awareness to do that. That is really well executed in an enormous, explosive play here in the first quarter.
Well, they are going to go up to the replay booth to see if perhaps Brandon Harris was down before he flipped the ball to Fournette. It certainly looked as if his knee was off the ground. Just a very alert play. And in many ways, Brock, I think just as alert a play for Leonard Fournette to make himself available to his quarterback who was in trouble.
I would agree. He's got a wonderful football IQ. You know, you start to study him. Yeah, and the ball's out of his hands. You start to study Leonard, and you want to see a little bit more. And Cam Cameron talked about this with us yesterday. Everybody's ready, you know, to just crown this guy, the next Bo Jackson or the next Herschel Walker. We live in that day and age. That's what we want to do with young stars. But he's still got room as a pass catcher. He still has room in his pass protection to be one of those elite running backs. Still a
To review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. First down.
But plays like that help. A lot of NFL scouts chatting with him this morning over coffee. You know, no team has more NFL players unless it's LSU Tigers. Over 40 of them on active rosters right now in the NFL. This kid will be there one day. Lots of these Tigers will. But that's a wonderful, as you said, awareness of the situation.
And now Darrell Williams in as the I-back. Just that close to Syracuse, making a negative play happen defensively to LSU having first down in the red zone. Quick toss. Williams bounces it outside. Tries to keep the play alive and is brought down after a gain of about 2. Chauncey Sism finally finished him off.
You see with Syracuse so far today, they've had the right guys in the right spot, and that's another injury. It was Bauer on the other side. That's Gerald Hawkins, the left tackle we saw with the false start earlier.
Gerald Hawkins has made every start the last 2 years on the right side, now has moved to the left side. And that's the man that's charged with protecting your quarterback's blind side, holding the back of his left leg. Looks like that hamstring, after his helmet popped off, grabbed him. So KJ Malone, the sophomore from Ruston, Louisiana, whose dad you may have heard of, did some work in the NBA, apparently, and there is the mailman, as he is on hand. Probably didn't expect necessarily to see his son get many reps, but who knows how much KJ Malone might play now.
6'4", 298, looks like he's got popped shoulders. I think Carl could still come out in stands and play a little offensive line. You don't see many hamstring injuries with big fellas. You typically see a lot of those guys up front get injured with people falling into their legs. That's a little bit of a unique injury for Hawkins, something to keep a close eye on. You lose Bauer, as I said, on the other side defensively. He's been carted off the field. You know, Hawkins grabbing that hamstring. Not an area of tremendous depth either. Malone, a very young, inexperienced player coming in.
On the outside, that's certainly true. The interior, though, of that offensive line for Syracuse, Ethan Posick, the center, Josh Boutte, the right guard. That pair caught your eye watching tape as much as Leonard Fournette did.
If there's a better center in America, I'd like to see it. Through the first 2 weeks, some of the body of work last year with Posick, he is off to a phenomenal start. You will watch him get to the second level of this game, and you're right. He's the one who sets the table in this run game.
Second down and 9. Fournette bounces it outside. Inside the 5 to the pylon. He's got an LSU touchdown.
Simply too fast. You've got 2 orange defenders there. They have been in the right spot so far today. Oftentimes he's carried them for that yards after contact, but that time you've got a corner, you've got a safety, you got a linebacker, you got Hodge, you've got Wayne Morgan, and all of them just simply can't keep up with 6'1", 235. Like the elites, and you've seen them, that ability to accelerate through their cuts, that's what separates the good running backs from the great ones.
The only running back in FBS with more yards gained outside the tackles than Leonard Fournette, Dalvin Cook at Florida State. That's 230 pounds turning the corner to give LSU the lead. Than they were a short time ago. They had LSU backed up twice. The second Bayou Bengal drive results in 7. An alert play by Leonard Fournette off a pitch from Brandon Harris, avoiding a sack, was the big play to get LSU in the red zone, and Fournette finishes the drive off with his 7th rushing touchdown through less than 2.5 games.
The best in America.
Bob Wischusen with Brock Huard, Shannon Spake down on the field, and now the pressure shifts back to that Syracuse offense. Can they produce without field position on their side if they're not able to rip off a return here?
And this team had a wonderful return to begin this game, but you've got to get a first down. You've got to just settle things down as an offense. 2 possessions, 2 3 and outs.
Returnable again for Grizzly Esteem inside the 5. Gets outside. Pretty good return for the 27-yard line as we go back to Adnan.
All right, thanks very much, Bob. BYU and Michigan, both 2-1. Jake Rudock, check out this catch by Amara Darboh. He just became a U.S. citizen on Thursday, and that's a way to celebrate. 21-yard catch. Rudock would punch it in as Michigan leads at 7-0. Currently on ABC. Bob?
Same score here, Adnan, as LSU has the early lead over Syracuse. And now Syracuse starting at their own 27, their worst field position of their first 3 possessions. A straight handoff to McFarland to the 30-yard line for 3.
And that's a win. That's not going backwards. That's not a negative play. It's gonna, if you can get 3 yards on early downs, you give yourself an opportunity to stay on schedule.
They want to set up the screen. It's deflected, and it falls incomplete. A break for Syracuse. Lewis Neal tipped it. It'll be 3rd down and 7.
And there you just see reflective of some of the team speed. That ball is in the air, and you see 6 Tigers just searching after it. I'll tell you one thing. If I'm Mr. Mahoney, or if I'm coaching him, I tell him, hey, look out there at number 2, Tolliver. Look out there at number 49. You know what they are? They're 18-year-olds as well. You're not the only one going through this. Is a young player. LSU on the other side playing true freshmen of their own. Trying to settle down. These 3rd down situations, the throws have been there to be made.
4-man rush. No time for Zach Mahoney. The pocket collapses again. Arden Key, the freshman, got there, and he had help from Greg Gilmore.
He's a good one. We have seen some of these. He reminds me of Josh Sweat down at Florida State, another 5-star recruit, 6'6", 230 pounds, coming out of high school, but understanding some of the leverage. And Ed Orgeron done such a nice job with this defensive line. Another new coach that has come in, really taught those guys to get off the ball, use their hands. There's a good look at Ed. Not just a wonderful recruiter. He loves teaching the technique on the D-line, and he's got his youngsters playing well.
Last season, all season, this LSU defense only had 19 sacks. That was 101st in FBS. Well, they got 5 sacks last week against Auburn, and they picked one up here. White on the fair catch. Field position now on LSU's side. All right, now if you're Syracuse, what do you have to turn to try and get this game flipped around?
It's danger time right now. You can't go down 14 points. So some of your young leaders defensively, you have to make that first tackle, and it's got to go backwards or stop. Too many times already here early, you're seeing Fournette push the pile. You've got to find a way to have some stopping power is what scouts see and what they want to see, and you got to get a 3 and out here if you're the Qs.
And have you seen from LSU, at least early, the evidence that they're not really affected intensity-wise by the road game, 11 a.m. start, not playing against an SEC opponent like they did the first 2 weeks?
Nothing like an explosive play to turn things around. Nothing like your best player, Fournette, getting involved on a broken play and just flipping the field and flipping the emotion.
Brandon Harris off play action. This time he can't get away from the blitz. Antoine Cordy comes through, and that's a big negative play, and making sure to get him on the ground. Cordy gets the sack. That's his second of the year.
And that's the other way of doing it, besides the stopping power, is obviously to turn up the pressure. You bring in your 2 impact players on a Mike Strong safety blitz, and you can see Brandon not having an awareness for it. That time you'd like to see, and you see NFL guys do it all the time, reestablish that protection, set the protection to pick up that blitz. That's well designed by Bola, and exactly what this crowd needed as they come back to life.
Fournette. He is hard to bring down. It is almost the entire Syracuse defense on top of Leonard Fournette before he finally falls to the turf after a gain of 6. Still in all, though, 3rd down and a mile for LSU. 3rd down and 15.
And you're seeing a little bit of tempo here, trying to keep that Syracuse defense from subbing. They're still able to get their guys on and off the field. Trying to get to a 7-man protection and throw those one-on-one routes to the outside.
Six-man rush. Long throw up the seam, and it's hauled in by Malachi Dupree. But now they'll say he did not complete the catch all the way to the turf. Incomplete. And Dupree is hurt.
And he hit the turf really hard. That was just 4 verticals. I like the call. I like hurrying up and getting to the line. That's a tendency. You know that they're going to go single safety in their 3rd and long coverage, and you can see the collision with the ground. And you love to see exactly where that defender went. Now, Dupree leaves the air. I think he was going to hit him in the side, but he's changed some of his strike zone. You know, that hopefully is some of that targeting rule coming to life, that you're not flying up and trying to hit him in the chin. And the contact with the ground separated receiver from football.
It's a long tradition of great wide receivers, and that might be the next great one for LSU. This offense doesn't really let these wide receivers at times show the playmaking ability that they have, but he was the #1 wide receiver recruit in America a couple of years ago when he chose Baton Rouge.
No, but I like that. You know, we're going to look and see how much this passing game evolves through the season. I like that hurry-up call, 3rd down. It was there to be made.
Line drive kick. Esteem returnable from the 25. He's got room. There goes Grizzly Esteem into plus territory. Great field position again for Syracuse. A 28-yard return. No hang time on the punt.
Well, he's got some juice. You saw it on the early kickoff return. He's a big playmaker. He's an 89-yard touchdown reception this season, and like any good returner, there's no waste of movement. And especially against an outfit like this out of LSU, you got to catch it and you got to go. And you set your offense up again. This is now the 2nd occasion where you've got real favorable position. And I'll say it once more. Give Mahoney his favorite throw down the field. The effect that has both on the confidence of your offense to do it, at least puts it into the mindset of your defense. And whether it's 1st or 2nd down here, get to something he's comfortable with.
Although Grizzly Esteem needs to catch his breath, and a timeout will be called by Scott Schaefer from the sideline. If you want to take a shot down the field, you want your best to take the top off the defense playmaker on the field. Esteem's on the sideline. Maybe that's why Scott Schaefer called timeout. deep on the depth chart. The true freshman Eric Dungy, who started last week, suffered a concussion against Central Michigan, and Zach Mahoney beat out Austin Wilson for the start today. After the timeout. The steam is still on the sideline for Syracuse. They'll run it with the freshman Jordan Fredericks. We'll see if that takes us to the end of the first quarter, or if Syracuse will try to get another playoff on 2nd down and 8. Surprising that Syracuse would snap the ball here. It looks like the sideline's trying to point out to Zach Mahoney the fact that the clock is about to expire, and it looks like he will get this play off, and it's knocked down at the line. So it will be 3rd down and 8 to start the second quarter. Great field position for Syracuse, starting in plus territory, but they are still without a first down after 1.
Welcome. We have 3
second quarter and set for another 3rd down for a Syracuse offense that has yet to pick up a first down. Bob Wischusen, Brock Ewart, Shannon Spake here at the Carrier Dome. LSU with the 7-0 lead. And you wouldn't imagine, Brock, that there will be many chances for Syracuse to start drives in plus territory. It feels like a must to try and keep this drive alive and get some points.
Have to capitalize. And it starts with that protection. LSU looks content once again to just rush 4.
They'll run the option. Mahoney with the late pitch. And now what do you do?
Go.
Dante Strickland brought down about 1.5 yards shy of the first down. Now it's 4th down and a solid 1.5 yards. And how many chances will you get to score?
Well, do you want to win? I mean, do you want to win? If you're playing to win, you go for it. If you're playing to just shorten this game, try to keep it close, 5th string quarterback, no, you got to go for this. And it sure looks like Schaefer doing so, and I love it.
Well, it's a statement about how he believes this game will have to be played going forward on 4th and 3 early.
Instill confidence in your quarterback by the way you call the game.
A ball fake and a dirted throw from Zach Mahoney. Threw it right at the ankles of Dante Strickland, and it's a turnover on downs for Syracuse.
That's the right call. We've had now 4 or 5 of these. Things are set up. This is well designed and well conceived. You're going to get blockers from the outside, expecting some man coverage. You get exactly what you want. Just put it on a shoulder pad, kid. You've got a stick route. Put it on a shoulder pads. You can do and you can execute these things. And you see a couple more drives like this, or maybe one more. It won't surprise me to see Austin Wilson. He's your other sophomore that's had a little bit of run in the system. He is the better passer of the 2. And LSU is clearly giving you some opportunities to get completions. And I don't know how much longer you're going to run Mahoney out if he is one-hopping and throwing balls in the dirt.
Quick toss to Leonard Fournette to start this drive for LSU with great field position. As they are already near midfield, let's go to Adnan.
All right, thank you very much, Bob. Southern and Georgia on the SEC Network, and Grayson Lambert showing Brock Ewart-like precision. Only 1 incompletion last week, 6 of 7 to start here. Nick Chubb, the touchdown, 17-0. It's all Georgia. Bob?
LSU tried to go quickly, a little too quickly, in fact.
Start to the snap, false start, 74, offense. 5-yard penalty, remains 2nd down.
So Les Miles' team backs up 5. And for Les Miles, he has authored now 39 of the 49 wins in a row against non-conference opponents in the regular season. 13 wins against non-conference top 25 teams. 2 appearances in the national championship game, a title back in 2007. And yet down in Baton Rouge, it's more than one Bayou Bengal fan that will say his seat is hot.
Well, that's ridiculous.
And off to the freshman Nick Brossette. He's about 2 yards shy of the first down. And the key today Scott Schaefer told us, he used this phrase, we have to be all over the camera club.
About 7.5 guys around the football when they play winning football through the years here, and this is something Scott has done as a defensive coordinator in his years. And you can see today tremendous effort early. The offense has been porous. How long can this defense sustain that kind of energy? It will be a have to keep this game close.
We like that phrase. Hadn't heard it before when he said, against these guys, our camera club has to be the highest it's ever been. 7 guys near the football. Fournette on 3rd down. He's got a 1st down and more. Still on his feet inside the 30 before he's finally run out. A flag down, though, back at the line of scrimmage.
During the run, holding, number 81, offense, 10-yard penalty, replay 3rd down.
That's a big man on the edge, Colin Jeter there. They're without Dylan Gordon. He's got an Achilles injury, and usually this is big Dylan. And you're going to see Colin here. He's got to trust his technique. This is a power run where they wash it down to the strong side. He's got the block. He just hooks him, and that's an obvious call on their go-to play. Their toss pitch. Phenomenal stuff. That time, the lack of execution from Colin. Got to keep the hands in and finish.
So now it's 3rd down and 13.
And here's the break you wanted.
Three-man rush. Harris under pressure. He'll be sacked. The ball's out. Ron Thompson got the sack, and I'm not sure he realized the football was out. Gerald Hawkins was able to jump on top of it and recover for LSU.
Well, you referenced LSU sacking to the quarterback, them getting home. So is Syracuse this season. Now their 10th sack of the year. And nearly all of them have come from that position. Thompson, Arciniega, the 2 rush ends there, and that time just beating Vidal Alexander clean. There was some noise in this venue, but Vidal with a 3-man rush, not giving his quarterback an opportunity.
Ted Taylor, backup linebacker for Syracuse, having to be helped off the field. 4 offensive penalties against LSU. That holding penalty, obviously a big one, as it gave Syracuse another chance to get a 3rd down stop, and they got the sack of Brandon Harris and almost a takeaway.
Got to win in special teams. When you're playing a superior, talented team, and LSU, based on our FPI, our Football Power Index, 2nd best team in America with what they've done in this month of September. You've got to hope that they stumble and bumble a little bit, and there have been a couple critical penalties from LSU. You got to continue to win this phase to set up some field position, as this team does and has done already in 2 occasions. And then you just got to get a 1st down offensively and see those sticks move.
Jamie Keene has had 2 substandard punts, and this one not great either. It takes a hop to Brisley Esteem, who fields it and gets loose. Tries to turn the corner, uses the stiff arm and goes down at the 40-yard line. Another good punt return by
some risk that he has to take. These are hidden yards. If he lets that ball bounce, it's another 15 yards. They're starting this drive at the 15 or 20-yard line, and instead, and it really should be on the other side. A missed face mask there. Colin Jeter grabbing the headgear. But average starting field position to 41 because of special teams so far this morning.
Zach Mahoney, this time a strike. And a well-thrown ball to Brisley Esteem to midfield, close to a 1st down. They're about a foot away from moving the chains for the first time on offense.
Would not surprise me during this last break that Tim Lester gets on the phone from the booth and says, Zach, I've given you 4 possessions. You're going to get 1 more, or we're going to go another way here. Much like their practice week started really slow as they go again to their Wildcat.
Well, they gave them a favorable spot, put the ball right on the 50-yard line. So that is a 1st down for Syracuse. And now they'll go Wildcat with Fredericks. Jordan Fredericks down after a game of 2. Jamal Adams came up to make the stop. Let's go to Shannon.
Yeah, you know, for Mahoney, he has one of his biggest mentors, not on the phone upstairs in Tim Lester, but down on the sidelines. Terrell Hunt has really helped him prepare mentally, he told me, for this game. He told him before the game started, hey, man, it's just like practice. We just have an audience, trying to calm him down a little bit. But Hunt put in a ton of extra time before the season began. Obviously, he's out with an Achilles injury, but Mahoney was able to take advantage of all of that and work with Hunt.
He's got second down in plus territory here. That's his team in motion. And they'll run the option. There's the pitch to Esteem. Can't make a man miss. It's a gain of only a yard. Great closing speed by the freshman Dante Jackson.
And you know what happens the last 2 weeks when you play Central Michigan and Wake Forest? You turn the corner and you get a first down. And what happens when you play Dante Jackson and Kevin Tolliver? They close that gap. Dante Jackson, number 1, a true freshman for LSU. The state of Louisiana 100 and 200 meter champ. I'm talking 10 300-meter juice, and you see him close that cushion in a hurry.
You wonder if it's 4 down territory again for Syracuse. In plus territory now, 3rd down and 6. Straight back is Mahoney. Contested right at the first down marker, and a catch by the tight end Josh Paris. It will be 4th down and 1.
You pose the question, it depends what happens on 3rd and 6, because if it goes backwards, yeah, you probably don't, but on a 4th and 1 occasion, good. I love it. I love that. Scott Schaefer knows what's at stake in this game. He knows the odds he's against. He's not going to be able to play just a clean game and win it. He's got to play a superb game, which they're doing in special teams. And then he's got to get just enough offense to take advantage of field position, Bob, like this.
Wildcat. Jordan Fredericks lines up for the direct snap. The true freshman on 4th and 1. He's got the first down and more. Bounce it to the outside, to the 31-yard line.
Four seniors up front as well, and that plays a role, I think, in a couple of these 4th down calls. You do have confidence that they're going to do their job at the point of attack. A lot of experience on that offensive line, good push, and there you see some more of the acceleration. Fredericks has more of that than Morris and McFarland on this roster. And what a confidence booster to finally take advantage of some wonderful starting field position.
Option toss to George Morris. Nothing there. Again, it's Jamal Adams coming through to make the stop, and NFL Insiders and Sunday NFL Countdown will start your day. First with the Insiders team for all the latest headlines and breaking news. And it's the Countdown crew inside the storylines, as only they can. NFL Insiders and Sunday NFL Countdown. Meet the new NFL Sunday morning tomorrow, starting at 10 a.m. on ESPN.
You know what all the intellectual capital of that crew would tell you? Hey, stop burning the option against these guys. Okay, your team speed getting out on the edge and perimeter is not going to be effective. I love the thought, but that's probably one you're not going to see too much more this afternoon.
Esteem down the sideline, trying to run under a ball that's got way too much air under it from Mahoney. He threw that about 5 yards out of bounds. Now it's 3rd down and 12, and now you start to wonder if you're just trying to get in field goal range to get some points on the board, or are you taking a chance trying to pick up a first down?
This is the advantage the NFL game has, and when you were a young player, there would be a friendly reminder from an offensive coordinator. Here's the call. Just reminds you not to think of the negative or put the negative in your thought pattern, but just make sure you get the ball out of your hands. You have got to avoid a negative play here as much as anything and give yourself an opportunity. You're within the range of Cole Murphy right now, and the call may dictate that.
And they're going to run it with George Morris, and he gets the field goal potential that much more real estate, as Cole Murphy's career long is 50 yards. And this will put him obviously well inside of 50. And here comes the field goal unit.
You know what else I like about this drive? Look at this. And we talked about this going into the game. Some of the some of the mandates for an upset and what you've got to do. You have got to shorten this game, and finally getting some first downs and possessing the ball gives you an opportunity to do so. Make it a 4-point game halfway through the second quarter. Schaefer would sign up for that.
From 43. And as smooth as could be. Inside the right upright and good. That's the long this season for Cole Murphy. He is now 6 for 7, and Syracuse is on the board. Now you can see the upside down banners of Wake Forest and Central Michigan on the left there. That's the schedule for Syracuse. The varsity tradition, they flip the banner upside down of the team that Syracuse beats. Now the next banner, of course, still right side up, LSU. It's a 7-3 LSU lead now, though, as Dante Jackson will bring it out from the end zone. Spins out to about the 20 with a flag down.
That field position.
During the return, illegal block in the back, number 24, receiving team. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
Field position continues to be a factor and celebrating. It's 11th year sponsoring the Good Hands Field Goal Nets. Allstate makes contributions to participating universities, general scholarship funds for each field goal and extra point kicked. To date, Allstate has contributed millions in scholarship funds.
This dome has some life.
Syracuse has shortened the game. They have won the special teams battle in a big way so far in the first half, Rock, and they have also dominated field position as now LSU will start from their own 5-yard line. Leonard Fournette out across the 10 as we head back to Adnan.
All right, thank you very much, Bob. Just updating you on what's happening with Michigan and BYU, and it's more from the Wolverines. This time it'll be Davion Smith. He just kind of fights his way through that pile, and off to the races he goes. The Wolverines, 2-1 right now, all over BYU on ABC. Bob?
All right, Adnan, thanks very much. So Michigan and BYU, with Michigan off to a terrific start. LSU, far more of a struggle at home so far. For Syracuse, the orange hanging right in the game. The quick toss to Fournette. Finds a lane. Leonard Fournette breaks a tackle, as he often does, dragging tacklers out to the 31-yard line. A gain of 19.
And that's why the camera club's got to come to the party when it's just one, as it was here with Rodney Williams. You're just, I'm sorry, you saw a week ago, I'm just going to run right through you and right over you. And no surprise to me, a little bit of adversity. 7-3, come back and get your best player his touches, and that's what Cam Cameron does.
And we throw around the adjectives of great probably too lightly. He's already close to 120 yards rushing, but when you talk about the Bo Jackson or Herschel Walker comparisons, that's where it comes from. Now it's Darius Geis, who's a pretty spunky freshman in his own right, as he is bottled up. A short gain on first down.
Just watching that one run reminds me of chatting with the Seahawks general manager John Schneider before this last draft, and he said he talks to a lot of these kids in college football. You know who they all point to now? Marshawn Lynch. Oh, who do you tailor your game after? Marshawn Lynch. Todd Gurley last year. I'm the next Marshawn Lynch. This guy's the next Marshawn Lynch. Like in the GM, it's nice for these kids to say it and kind of chuckle at a lot of them. This guy is the real deal with that level of physicality.
Geis again. Spins to the 35-yard line, but it will be third down, and there's a flag down as well.
During the run, holding, number 77, offense, 10-yard penalty remains.
Posick doesn't like the call. He is right in the middle of your screen. He's a big center at 6'6", and It's just that bottom hand. Once those hands get outside the frame, and we saw that earlier with Colin Jeter, the minute you get into the midsection and you get outside, you are going to draw that holding call, and another critical negative play for the Tigers.
6th penalty against LSU, 5 on the offensive side. 4-man rush and a bomb down the sideline. Doral has it off his fingertips. And incomplete. Pretty good coverage from Corey Winfield. It will be 3rd down and long after we ask you our Aflac trivia question. What is the only college football stadium named after a Heisman winner? We'll let you ponder that. 3rd down and close to 17.
That's a big
Ernie Davis Legends Field.
That's a big drop by Doral, and just listen to the folks here that are so desperate for a marquee win.
They set the screen up to Fournette. Breaks a tackle. Can't get away from another. Making sure was Antoine Cordy. And Syracuse, with help again from a penalty, gets a stop.
Hidden yards, special teams, negative plays, limiting the big explosive plays. It's a huge drop by Doral. You can't throw it any better if you're Brandon Harris. Posick, one of your best players, gets called and hands outside the frame. This is why this game is 7-3 as we're nearing halftime.
Esteem with a fair catch called and made just across the Syracuse 25-yard line.
Yeah, got him hooked up to that. So that you'll never miss one of my little brother's games again. That watch ESPN is awesome. I think that's what that Tiger's doing right now.
Right up the middle on 1st down goes George Morris for about 5 yards. That's probably exactly what you're hoping for if you're Tim Lester, as you go to the heart of that LSU defense and pick up 5.
Well, that's what you have to do, because the outside pitch, we have seen it on a couple different occasions, that gets swallowed up with the team speed. First-year defensive coordinator Kevin Steele said that's where we have got to be the most stout. I think he's very confident, as he should be, in this matchup on the perimeter. But still some of the inexperience, some of that youth between the tackles that have got to hold that if you're a Tiger fan to less than 5 on 1st down.
Another handoff. And breaking tackles this time is George Morris. And that is good for a Syracuse 1st down. Let's take a look at the game summary, and the recipe for an upset is there for Syracuse if they can ever put the ball in the end zone.
Those return yards, that special teams phase, Bridgely Esteem has been such a stud here for Syracuse early. The penalty yards and the critical negatives, setting up long yardage situations for LSU. And that average starting field position is really built on the back of Esteem.
Reverse to Esteem. Hit from behind, but close to a 1st down. That's a gain of 9.
And use their speed against them. If I said to you earlier, avoid the option pitch if you're Mahoney, because there is nothing to be had. There are occasions through reverses, through screen passes, where you can capitalize on all that fast action by that LSU defense. And gain yet again another positive play on 1st down.
Ivan Foy, the left tackle, has his helmet off, and it looks like the officials stopped play as he is down on one knee. It looks like they observed that he was shaken up and now have called the Syracuse trainers out. So we have an injury timeout with LSU on top 7-3.
You've never had a burger made like Applebee's genuine, handcrafted, freshly ground, seared, flavor bombed.
What's the only college football stadium named after a Heisman winner? Iowa, Kinnick Stadium, named after Niall Kinnick, who won the Heisman back in 1939.
Had a game real similar to Fournette. I studied some of his tape, kind of get ready for this one.
It's a little bit of a misleading question because we are playing here, as you can see, on Ernie Davis Legends Field. But this is the Carrier Dome. Screen set up and again underthrown by Zach Mahoney. Now it will be 3rd down and 1.5 yards, and that stops the clock with 2:10 to go before halftime. And Brock, how vital is it if you're Syracuse just to pick up a 1st down here, take more time off the clock?
Yep.
You have to kick the ball back to LSU.
That's
You're
right.
leaving them some time.
And this has been your Achilles heel over the last 3 weeks. And that was against Central Michigan and Wake Forest, your 3rd down productivity. And Mr. Mahoney's got to lighten up on the grip a little bit. Right now, it's like that 3-foot putt that he is just not finishing at the end on a gimme.
They'll run it with George Morris, and he has a vital Syracuse 1st down across the 50, a gain of 5. Let's check in with Edmund.
All right, Bob, thank you very much. Coming up on the Lexus halftime report, forget about bend it like Beckham. How about catch it like Beckham, along with the Saturday slate? Also, since half of our company went to Syracuse, they're all going to be riveted to see what Les Miles has to say at the halftime, because Orange right now are hanging around, and also Georgia right now just banging away against Southern. All that more coming up in the Lexus halftime report. Just wait until Galloway talks.
All right, man, he makes a good point. Half our rating today is our company. They all went to Syracuse. 1st and 10 in plus territory. Zach Mahoney looking for a bomb down the left sideline. The flag comes out. Ricky Jefferson got tangled up with Dante Strickland.
Interference, defense number 29. The ball will be placed at the spot of the foul. 1st down.
I really like some of the concepts we have seen. You're trying to get your fastest skill player on their safety, and Jefferson's in perfect coverage. Just got to trust himself a little bit more in that moment. And Mahoney in the orange taking advantage once again of a critical penalty.
Direct snap to Fredericks. Pretty good to turn nothing into something. He ends up with 6 yards. The penetration was there for Arden Key, the freshman defensive end, but he couldn't make the tackle.
And how big was that 3rd and 2 conversion? Well, look at this. You now have every opportunity to hold this ball to halftime. And at a minimum right now, you don't go backwards. You feel like it's 7-6. Only everything to gain here over the final 60 seconds.
Under a minute to go. Syracuse still with 2 timeouts. Again, they line up with the true freshman Jordan Fredericks in the Wildcat. Bobbles the snap. Now it will be 3rd down. They did go backwards about 2 yards. And a timeout call from Syracuse on the sideline with 44 seconds to go in the 1st half. Vital sequence for Scott Schaefer's team when we come back.
There's a place that's known for its beauty and its unique culture, where students come first and life-changing research happens every day, where nationally ranked programs prepare graduates for high-demand jobs, where tradition runs deep, and success is measured not in numbers, but in people, where the past is honored and the future embraced. It's a place you fall in love with and never forget. Forever, LSU.
At the Carrier Dome, Bob Wischusen with Brock Ewart, Shannon Spake down on the sideline. And Shannon Spake will have an opportunity to speak to Les Miles at halftime. So if you want to know what the Hat thinks about what's happened to his team here in the 1st half, she will relay that information. And the penalty yardage, the hidden yardage based on field position, about a 100-yard difference if you total it up between the 2 teams' average start of field position. And Syracuse's defense playing well. We've got a football game. 3rd down and 6.
Won't surprise me if this is a run.
This time it's there. And using the stiff arm and getting out of bounds is Ben Lewis. That stops the clock. Well short of the first down, but it does improve the field goal position for Syracuse by a few yards. And here comes Cole Murphy to try and make it a one-point game. Check that Riley Dixon. From 46 yards away. It's a fake. There goes Dixon. Hurdles a man. How about that? First down, Syracuse.
Bob, there's something to be said when you can play with nothing to lose. Scott Schaefer and the Orange have nothing to lose in this building today. They're 3-0 for the first time in 24 years. Got a little level of excitement. You've got a fifth-string quarterback playing. Take risk. We've seen it earlier in field position situations, and that says it all right there. Love it.
The tell was Riley Dixon, the punter, was in there as the place kicker. Play action. Zach Mahoney rolling. Has a man inside the 15-yard line and out of bounds. Very important for Syracuse as it stops the clock with 7 seconds to go and preserves their timeout.
You've got one shot at the end zone right here. Once again, I will talk about them not having that headset communication to a kid that's never been in a situation like this. Cannot scramble, cannot run around. Right? You have to be aware of your timeouts, and this is probably smart here for Scott Schaefer to talk it all over. The situational football with just 7 seconds remaining. What I want to go to a steam right here. Or I want to go to my big kid Custis that caught a 7-yard touchdown a week ago. Good. And get it up in the end zone, give him a chance, and then be ready to kick the field goal. But this has got to be done with a tremendous sense of urgency.
The 11th play of the drive. And if it fails, it has to take 6 seconds or less. The last thing Syracuse wants is to come away empty.
Steam to the top of the field.
Mahoney, there's the shot to the end zone. And that's okay if you're Syracuse, as now you can kick the field goal with 3 seconds on the clock and make it a one-point game at halftime.
But you can see why you get nervous with less than 8. I mean, you just can't mess around.
Well, field goal opportunity coming for Syracuse. Now, should they make it? And it's 7-6 at halftime. What's the vibe in the Syracuse locker room? And more importantly, for a national championship picture, what's the vibe in that LSU locker room?
You know exactly what it is in Syracuse. You're fist pounding. You're saying, we can play with these guys. Are you kidding me? I know Fournette's got over 100 yards, but they're making the mistakes, and we've got them in our house and building here. And if you're Les Miles, you know exactly what he's going to say. I think he called either you babe or me babe yesterday. Hey babe, we're going to run it. I'm not going to panic. We're going to take care of these penalties, and we're going to get this thing squared away in the second half.
Here's Cole Murphy from 31. Hit the upright. That is a deflating miss for Syracuse at halftime, as LSU will start the third quarter with the football, and their lead is still 4. Syracuse puts a scare into LSU so far in the first half, but it could have been a one-point game. Back to the studio with Adnan, Danny, and Joey. The Lexus halftime report. The difference was stark when he touched the ball and when the rest of his group tried to run it.
he should set up the play action. That is the next component that I would like to see grow in this passing game for LSU, and it should be there. As dominant as he is, as committed as Syracuse has been in that first half, with defenders, with corner blitzes, with safety blitzes, you got to run it and you got to play pass, and those have got to be the two elements here for LSU in the final 30 minutes.
Nick Brosette, the true freshman running back, is deep to receive the third quarter kickoff. Not many saw this being the score as we start the third quarter here at the Carrier Dome. It's Dante Jackson that will take it from the goal line. Gets to the 20-yard line and no further. Let's check in with Shannon.
Well, guys, remember yesterday Scott Schaefer told us he knew that this was going to be a huge challenge, but he said maybe we can catch them off guard and sneak up on them in the fourth. Well, he told me coming out of that locker room, in order to do that, they just have to capitalize on their opportunities, particularly in the red zone. They have to put some points on the board. He told his young quarterback, Zach Mahoney, kid, you got a chance to win this game here today. And I did ask about the possibility of maybe seeing a little bit out of Austin Wilson at some point. Coach Schaefer said, man, I wouldn't tell you even if I knew.
Not tipping his hand. Well, we'll see where he goes at quarterback because Wilson is the more natural thrower of the two. Brandon Harris didn't throw it with much success in the first half, but he'll start with play action here in the third quarter, and it's batted down at the line. Ron Thompson gets Syracuse off to a good start. Second down to 10.
If you know that they're going to want to get Fournette involved, and I know they're going to want to get Fournette involved, the natural reaction is then come out with play action pass, and I say no. It does not matter if they think he's coming at you. Get committed to that run game and do it early and often. There is no reason he should not touch the ball time after time after time against this defense.
Here he is on 2nd and 10. Stumbles, and that was the only thing that kept him from picking up a first down. It will be 3rd down and 5.
0 for 4 in the first half, and too many of them were the third and extra long variety because of negative plays, because of penalties. This is an awfully big 3rd and 5, and the hometown fans, they know it.
Blitz coming. Slant, knocked away. Check that. They're going to say it as a reception on the bobble by Dupree. What concentration by Malachi Dupree to hold out of that football.
Big time. They don't get many opportunities within this scheme. That ball comes out end over end. Wow.
Antoine Cordy was there and thought he had knocked it away. They may review the play just to make sure that Dupree had a clean catch.
Going to further review.
And they are going to go to the replay booth just to make sure that Malachi Dupree, who was knocked out of the game in the first half when his head bounced off the turf, returns here in the second half. Great concentration to find the football again.
That's two pretty fortunate plays for LSU, and Coach Schaefer also recognized that in talking to Shannon coming out of halftime.
After review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. It was a good catch. First down.
The 48-yard run from Fournette on really a broken play where Harris was nearly sacked, and then on that occasion, but you make your luck. You make those plays, and it's a blitz, and you have the right call, and you have a quick little slant. Instead of Cordy knocking it down, Dupree has the awareness to get you a vital, critical third down conversion, and I'll say it again, this is number 7 time.
Here he is. Fournette grinds out about 4, maybe 5 more yards.
But he runs right through you. Do you see the impact that he has on his battery mates, on the people around him? You take an average running back in college football, and that is a 1-yard gain, if that. He is going to plow, and he is going to humiliate defenders at times. And in order to really take advantage late in the game, you've got to take these body blows in the third quarter.
Here he is again, looking for a cutback lane. gang tackle. Well, there's the camera crew showing up for that Syracuse defense. It'll be 3rd down and 4 after we check in with Shannon.
Well, Bob, Brock, you guys talked about some of those blows at Leonard Fournette, and you see a player down there on the field for LSU. But Leonard Fournette getting some of those body blows, I asked him how much he thinks about that. And he said, I don't think about it. I expect it. I'm a running back. But he told me his approach is to be the aggressor. Hit before he gets hit. What do you think about that, Brock?
It's exactly what his game is. And when you're 6'1", 235 pounds, and you're built differently than everybody else, you impact it on both sides of the ball when you have that attitude. Guys want to block for you, and those defenders eventually will make some business decisions, as we've seen over the years with backs like him, to wear him down in the 4th.
Injury timeout, so we'll step aside.
A pitcher who can paint the corners is known as a...
2 players off the field, 1 for either side. Backup guard William Clapp looked like he was cramping up, as was Antoine Cordy, the starting strong safety for Syracuse. So 3rd down and 4 with 2 players off the field for their respective sides. That's the true freshman, Maya Tahuma, back in at guard for LSU.
Yeah, press man-to-man look defensively.
Syracuse jumps. Looks like they got back. Straight back is Brandon Harris. Lobs it down the sideline, looking for Dupree. Right down the chimney, inside the 20-yard line.
Once again, well designed and well conceived there by Cam Cameron, expecting some man-to-man coverage. So what do you want to do? You want to run that inside fade route and give Doral there and Dupree plenty of room between those two. That's what Syracuse is going to have to give up today. The way that they're going to defend, they are going to play one-on-one on the outside and say, beat us. Brandon Harris, your passing game, beat us. Did not do so in the first half at all. And that time, an enormous explosive play into the red zone, and it's Fournette time.
It is indeed. Syracuse gang tackles once again after a gain of 3. Paris Bennett, the Sam linebacker, was there first.
Yeah, these 2 linebackers are doing a really nice job. That's Franklin, that's Bennett. Hodge as well is shooting some gaps. Franklin is their guy. If you're a Syracuse fan over the next couple years, you're going to enjoy your sophomore captain. He's a difference maker in the middle. And when you have seen Fournette stop and when you have seen him slow down, it's because of that pursuit internally with Franklin. And then those guys playing their gap control, Bennett and Hodge, limiting some of that run game.
The first sophomore captain for Syracuse since 1945, Zaire Franklin. Fournette right up the middle, inside the 10-yard line. Looks to be good for a first down. Right at the first down marker. Let's see where they spot the football at the 9.
Just covers it up. He knows that contact is coming, but his shoulder pads are A, always lower, and then B, forceful in the direction he wants it to be. And I have not seen a hit yet this season where he has been stopped or goes backwards.
It's 1st and goal. Well, a topic this past week with Les Miles was, is there a pitch count for Leonard Fournette in this game and going forward through the season? How do you manage a player that is so clearly your star workhorse?
You manage him Sunday to Friday. That's where you manage him. A monster like him at this level, he can carry 20, 25, 30 times over those 12 weeks. How you take care of him and get him fresh for game day is as critically important as any pitch count is.
Play action for Brandon Harris. He's looking at the pylon. Now he's under pressure, and he will throw this as far as he possibly can to avoid a sack. It'll be 2nd and goal.
Put some pressure on your 2nd and 3rd down call when you take that kind of risk. That was a one-man route. You're going to max protect with everybody else. And the one thing Syracuse has done here defensively that Scott Schaefer was proud of at halftime and talking to Shannon is their guys are going to fight and they're going to be in the right spot. Now, will they get run over at times? Yes. Will they miss some tackles? Absolutely. But that play indicative of being in the right spot and playing the technique as coached.
Doral in motion. Quarterback keeper. Harris brought down. Well, that's back-to-back plays, Brock. inside the 10-yard line, 1st and goal, and Leonard Fournette didn't touch the football. Now it's 3rd down and goal from the 7.
That's not my business plan. I don't need to use him as a decoy. Not in a 7-3 game on the road with a fan base that feels it, the defense on the other side that's gained some confidence. He'd have touched it 3 more times in 1st and goal situation.
The 11th play of the drive, and it's 3rd and goal. Harris under pressure. Wrapped up inside the 5 and knocked out of bounds. At the 4-yard line where it will be 4th and goal.
That's a win. It's a huge win for this defense.
Les Miles from the sideline just wanted to see exactly where his quarterback went out of bounds and if it was maybe a go-for-it situation, but then he saw the ball placed at the 4-yard line and waved his field goal unit out.
Been so good at scoring touchdowns in the red zone so far this season. 7 of 8 scoring touchdowns, but at the 10-yard line, 2 plays that don't go Fournette's way. No good, settling for the field goal.
Should be a chip shot for Domingue, but it is a quarterback, Brad Cragthorpe, that's the holder. So a fake is always in play, but a low-line drive goes through for Domingue. And it is once again a touchdown lead for
the
students.
LSU Tigers visiting, but
Broadcasting next door.
That's Jay and Barron, and that's about as quiet as they've been. They have been jumping for joy.
So Syracuse will start with the ball at about their own 20-yard line as this team is brought down. And now let's take a look at winning traditions driven by Goodyear. 1959, well, that was a year for both LSU and Syracuse to remember. Of course, the Orange won the national championship back in 1959. And for LSU, the only time, this is hard to believe, that an LSU player has won the Heisman, it was Billy Cannon back in 1959 as well. All the amazing talent that LSU has had through the years. You wonder if number 2 is going to be this year in terms of Heisman winners, because Leonard Fournette, through 2 weeks, looks about as worthy a candidate as there is. Here's Devontae McFarland starting a drive for Syracuse. This is their worst starting field position of the game. And Deion Jones, who had to sit out the first half because of a targeting call last week against Auburn in the second half. So he was suspended for the first half, gets a chance now to play in the third quarter.
And if he looks like Leonard Fournette, he should. He's 6'1", 230 pounds, and he is their fastest linebacker. And forceful contact to the head or neck area is going to draw that penalty. He had to sit and watch, and no surprise he comes out on first down like a man possessed downhill. He is a difference maker at linebacker.
Lobbing it down the sideline and having it knocked away with a flag down. Steve Ishmael was the intended receiver. Ricky Jefferson and Kevin Tolliver were both there. And they may have Ishmael for an offensive pass interference call.
And they should. He uses that off arm, and we saw this a week ago at Arkansas. And you've seen it with the 2 holding calls today. These referees are trained. They work their tail off, and they are looking, and you have got certain cues that are going to draw that penalty. And when he extends his arm, as Ishmael does on this play, you're going to try
interference. Number 8, offense. Half the distance to the goal, replay second down.
You get freedom. You can use your forearm, you can use your shoulder, but the minute you extend your arm out, as Ishmael does here, right there, that push out, that arm gets extended, you're not going to get grace.
So now a real danger zone for a 5th string walk-on quarterback. That is on 11-yard line, 2nd down and 20. And the LSU fans that have made the trip from Baton Rouge making a lot of noise. McFarland across the 15-yard line. Modest gain of 3, maybe 4 yards. Kendall Beckwith made the stop for LSU.
one possession game inside your own 20-yard line. Going to be a very conservative call right now. When they've had opportunity and they have been in favorable field positions or fourth downs, they have gone for it on 3 fourth downs. The fake field goal. Not quite the situation here at your own 15.
Play clock at 12, and they're not out of the huddle yet. You'd hate to have to use a timeout here. Does the young quarterback notice the play clock? It's down to 2. They do get the snap off, and it's an incomplete pass. So now it's on your punter to try and change field position. As Riley Dixon, he can kick it, but LSU should get great field position. Maybe their best of the day.
Well, Murphy had the missed field goal before half, but outside of that, the special teams phase of the game, that third phase, that when you're at home and you're playing good defense that you have to have complement the rest of your team, it outplayed LSU in the first 30 minutes. This has to be a big boomer, as you say, an NFL-style punt.
It's a pretty kick. Tre'Davious White from his own 31. He's ripping off a return. Splits the Syracuse last line of defense. Touchdown, LSU. Tre'Davious White takes it the distance.
There was no flinch from Les Miles walking into halftime and talking to Shannon. You knew that he trusted his team. Karl Malone likes it as well. But eventually some of that strength that you have, some of that speed, if you give yourself an opportunity and a chance, and you don't have the penalties you did in the first half, they come to life. Tre'Davious White showing you why he's big time, why he gets to wear that number 18. And a phase of the game that was one-sided in the first half just gets a huge uppercut to the jaw in the second.
When Matt Mock was the quarterback back in the national championship year of 2003, he left and passed the 18 on to Jacob Hester. It started a tradition that has been continued over the years now at LSU. It is an honor and a big statement, the player that dons the 18. And Tre'Davious White, well, he just made the kind of plays that the guys that wear the 18 make if they play for LSU. If your offense is struggling, if the opposition has some belief, what's the best way to deliver that gut punch? How about a touchdown on special teams?
Sunday Night Baseball, Pirates, Cubs at 8. September rules on ESPN.
A pitcher who can paint the corner.
Saturday night on ESPN and streaming live on Watch ESPN. So now, does Syracuse have any kind of answer? The steam from the goal line. Another pretty good return. He has given them field position out to the 33 as we check in again with Adnan Burke.
Thanks very much, Bob. We told you at the half that Central Florida was giving South Carolina fits. Well, when in trouble, go to Pharaoh Cooper and he'll take care of business for you. 3 catches, 34 yards, 3 rushes, 27 yards, and a touchdown. In fact, they've just scored again now as well. So the Gamecocks up 22-14. Over on the U, by the way. Bob?
Adnan, you wonder, with that type of player on the LSU bench, they always have him to turn to. Brock, who do you now turn to if you're Syracuse to try and create something offensively down by a couple of scores?
You're halfway through the third quarter. You stick to your guns here. This is not time that you're going to panic. You can't do it. Mahoney doesn't have a whole arsenal and another level of the playbook that he is going to. You just have to execute as you did to end that first half. There are completions to be had. The way that LSU is playing this game defensively, there are opportunities, but it's upon the quarterback to be a whole lot more efficient than he's been.
Runs the option. And he is wrapped up right at the line by Lewis Neal. Again, in case you're just joining us, this is the 5th string quarterback playing for Syracuse. A walk-on that played junior college football last year at the College of DuPage. Because you've got players like Terrell Hunt, A.J. Long on the bench with respective injuries, Eric Dungy with a concussion against Central Michigan last week. They are 5 deep on the depth chart with a quarterback that made his last start against the JV squad for Lindenwood Belleville, an NAIA school. Now he's out here against LSU. And the pocket starts to collapse. Helmet off. And out of bounds with a flag down. And that is because Lewis Neal, once his helmet is off, he can't rejoin the play. And he went over and he tackled the quarterback, Zach Mahoney. This is a mental error for Lewis Neal that's going to cost LSU.
Yeah, I think Les Miles is a little bit torn right there. It is a mental error. Everything you said is absolutely right. But don't you think there's part of Les, kind of the crazy Les, it's like, kind of like that. That's just kind of who we are a little bit. I play the game and did play the game the same way.
Personal foul, defense number 92, continued participation without a helmet, 15-yard penalty, first down.
Once your helmet comes off, you are required to basically stop playing football for your own safety.
I really enjoyed talking to Cam Cameron, the offensive coordinator, Kevin Steele, the defensive coordinator. You're talking about two guys that have got about 50, 60 years of coaching experience and been a lot of places. And you could tell with both of them, they said, it is just different here. These kids are different. They're wired to run and hit. I mean, it starts with Les, and that's the culture we have. But so many of these kids from the state of Louisiana, it doesn't matter if the helmet's on. I'm going to go hit somebody, and I'm going to go finish. I think that play emblematic of some of that.
The option to the near side, the pitch to George Morris. Stays in bounds, does a little Leonard Fournette impersonation. Out of bounds at the 40, a gain of 12. Now, having said that, hold on. It's a 15-yard penalty against an offense that right now has nothing going, and all of a sudden, 2 snaps, 15-yard penalty, and a 12-yard run, and Syracuse is in plus territory.
Yes, but did you just say a Leonard Fournette impression? The legs were moving, but the opponent wasn't, Bob.
I saw some contact initiated. See, that's where you're supposed to roll with your partner.
I'm sorry. Yes.
The chemistry of our pairing. Maybe we'll revisit that in the offseason. Play action. Mahoney. He wants the home run ball. And he's got it to a steam for the Syracuse touchdown. Flags down before the point after goes through.
Every once in a while you wonder, Bob.
Prior to the snap, false start, 68, offense, 5-yard penalty, will retry.
You just wonder. After watching that first half, what did Coach Schaefer and staff see in this guy? I mean, that was a really difficult first half. But that's what they see. Because he's got the guts, even down 21-7. He wanted to come here. He pushed himself. He sent the email that said, you need to take me on. And as bad as that first half was, to have the wherewithal and the guts to come back, still run the option. PAT's good. And then to hit the play pass, where we had talked about in that area of the field to deliver. A lot of that moxie and guts we don't get to see in the tape. They see behind the scenes, paying off for the Qs.
And now some belief maybe for Syracuse. Grizzly Esteem makes it a one-possession game again. Dante Jackson will take a knee. Maybe the LSU defense will have a different level of respect the rest of the afternoon for Zach Mahoney.
That's why you take some shots. Watch the nickel back here. That's going to be Dwayne Thomas, and he's in the slot, okay? And he just takes for granted the safety as well. He's got an assignment there. He's going to chase the swing route. but just take it for granted. This guy can't throw over my head. This guy can't complete a pass from 10 yards. Hadn't really done it the entire first half. But you never take your opponent lightly. That's why you've got to trust your fundamentals and the attention to detail, and on the other side with shoes, and that is why you take some shots when you've got the real estate and the field position opportunity.
Is there anywhere for LSU now to go with the football other than number 7?
Nope.
Here he is, Leonard Fournette, finding room. Spins out close to the 35-yard line. He's got 9.5 on first down.
Give it to him 3 straight times. I really don't care if there's 10 guys around the line of scrimmage.
If I'm back in Baton Rouge watching our broadcast right now, I'm saying give it to him 10 straight times.
Yep.
You may have thought that Syracuse was the type of game you could come in with a game plan of getting your passing attack a little more balanced. Here's Fournette, cut back. He's got a first down. But now maybe you get to this point in the game, and those thoughts of let's get balance going offensively, let's use this game as a springboard. Now it's just about win.
Especially on the road, and you've seen this a number of times. This is unique in college football. They will flip, toss it, and the reason they do that is really threefold. Number one, to get the ball in Leonard's hands immediately. Number two, to allow him to have complete vision so he can cut back like that. Number three, to get your quarterback involved and possibly pick up with that defensive end or that contain on the other side.
A delayed toss, maybe a little miscommunication, and that creates a negative play. Zaire Franklin knifed through. Wayne Morgan was there to help on the stop for Syracuse as well. Now it's 2nd down and 13.
That's exactly what it was. That was a check, and they like to check to certain defensive line techniques. Everybody got it, but Fournette, that time again, taking for granted. Quarterback, you got to make sure everybody hears exactly what that check is. Fournette goes the opposite way of his buddies.
Leonard Fournette into the secondary with another gear. Touchdown.
Freak show. The fluidity and speed of a man 6'1", 230 pounds. That is why the comparisons have come in the month of September. And if there continues to be the commitment, and forget this pitch count nonsense, the commitment to run the ball, you'll hear it through October and into November when their season really heats up. And
that is an injury that could be devastating for Syracuse, depending on what the story is with Zaire Franklin. That's your sophomore Mike linebacker who is down. So during the injury timeout, let's check in with that man, Vert.
All right, Bob, thank you very much. Just want to update what's happening with Nick Chubb, who has gone over 100 yards today for Georgia. That ties the record for most consecutive 100-yard games by a Georgia player with Herschel Walker. They're all over Southern on the SEC network. Bob?
Did Adnan say Herschel Walker? I mean, that's a comparison. 213 yards on 19 carries and a couple more touchdowns for Leonard Fournette. He's only averaging 11.2 yards per carry today. And you might get your wish. He might be the second ever Heisman winner in LSU history.
And he's gotten a lot of help up front at times, and especially on this play. You go back and you look at a number of those touchdown runs against Auburn in that tape, and you will see knockdowns. Not just a hat on a hat. I'm talking guys on the ground. I was raving to you as we were watching tape about Ethan Posick, and he sets the table there. Fournette finishes.
Let's take a look at today's AT&T strong performance.
I'm talking on the ground, knocking people down. That's Posick, that's your fullback, and that is your right guard as well. That's Posick. That's Moore, the fullback. And that's Clapp. Look at it. Look at the finish. You knock the wind out of the middle linebacker. Look at it. Circle him. I mean, that is carnage at the point of attack. And you give that kid the lane, it's over. Doesn't matter if it's Auburn. It doesn't matter if it's Syracuse. And over the next 4 weeks, as they ready themselves for at Alabama, at Ole Miss, to be at the front of the Heisman line. At least the hype and the conversation leading into that month.
So now Syracuse finds themselves down by 2 touchdowns once again with a steam from the goal line. And this time he is stopping and he can't get started again. Brought down shy of the 20-yard line. We're watching one of the best running backs, maybe the best in college football today. How about Monday night? Maybe the best quarterback in the league will shine on Monday Night Football. Reigning league MVP Aaron Rodgers and the Packers against Jamal Charles and the Chiefs. Chiefs-Packers, 8:15 Eastern, Monday on ESPN. And, of course, streaming live on Watch ESPN.
And pretty remarkable in that game, not one LSU or Orange player. That kind of beats the odds. Bucks the trend with 40 Tigers on active rosters. And you see 7 Syracuse players as well. The Jones brothers representing well.
So Zach Mahoney has to have some confidence throwing a 40-yard touchdown pass on the last possession, and they'll need the help. Nice ball fake. There goes Mahoney. Out close to the 40-yard line. Brought down by Ricky Jefferson. Let's go down to Shannon.
Well, Bob, remember yesterday watching film, Brock, how many times did you stop the film when Leonard Fournette had a huge play and point out how he affected all of the guys on the sideline? Well, I was watching the defense after that touchdown run. Tre'Davious White, the junior corner, he looked at all of his guys and he said, it's on us now. They were pumped, but they know they have to do their job.
Yep. Instills that belief, that confidence in everybody. That's what a dominant running back has done in the NFL with Marshawn Lynch and what Fournette's doing here in September.
Option, and this one in the backfield. It's Ben Lewis. He may have gotten back close to the line of scrimmage. Dwayne Thomas got the tackle. Looks to be a loss of about a yard. 2nd down and 11. Throw to the sideline by Mahoney, and Steve Ishmael has a 1st down. We didn't see throws that looked like that in the first half.
No, in fact, the very first 3rd down of this game was a very similar concept. It was a little curl route to the boundary, and that time you could feel the blitz. LSU brings one of their rare blitzes, and instead of panicking, instead of retreating in the pocket, he's staying strong. He's going to trust that he can throw it on timing. It's amazing what a little success will do to the confidence and to the rhythm of a very young quarterback.
George Morris running through a couple of arm tackles. That's a hard-working 2.5 yards. For Syracuse, it'll be 2nd down and a long 7.
Fournette-like.
I would agree. 2nd down and 8 for Syracuse as the rift continues to grow in the broadcast booth. But the chemistry you can see is building on the field for a Syracuse offense. That's in plus territory. And right now, Brock, you have to think they believe that they can go down the field and score some more points.
Yep. And if you're that LSU defense, as Shannon alluded to, now it's time for you to step up out on the road and try to quash some of that confidence.
Mahoney, there's a throw that's more reminiscent of what we saw in the first half. Aaron and low, intended for Dante Strickland. So now a very important play for Syracuse. You only have a certain number of possessions left. Now you start to look at the scoreboard and the clock, and it's 3rd down and 8.
In field position, and I think if I'm Kevin Steele here defensively, I heat this up. I'm going to play some man-to-man. It's 3rd and 8. I don't want to give them a situation of another possible play. I want a negative play here. I'm going to trust my guys on the outside. Looks like it's going to be some press man It's time to get after this quarterback in this line.
Blitz coming. Mahoney, long throw to the sideline, incomplete. Now it's 4th down and 8. You're in plus territory. Is 4th down and 8 down in distance where you even think about going for it?
No.
If you're Scott Schaefer.
No, this is a situation where you have now got to make them drive the long field. Maybe you're creative in your special teams phase. We've already seen that with a fake field goal. You have a look that they're giving you.
Don't kick it to him. If you want to change field position, keep it away from Tre'Davious White, who has a kick return for a touchdown on his last opportunity. And he'll let this one bounce. And it spins down at about the 12, maybe the 13-yard line. Let's take a look at this week's rankings, brought to you by Allstate. We've got number 8 playing this afternoon here at Syracuse. What else draws your attention?
Well, look at the number of pro-style systems you're starting to see. I'm going to put Ohio State because I'm going to trust they're going to get back to some of their run. You now have half of the teams in the top 10 that have gone back and said, you know what, we can line up. We can be like LSU here tonight in Georgia. And if I've got a dominant running back, and we've already talked about this over the first month of this college football season, this is not the year of the quarterback. This is the year of the running back in college football. 2 of them got drafted in the first round last year. I think you will continue to see that trend moving forward. And none better than this kid in the backfield that's imposed his will in the second half.
Fournette with a flag down. Right up the middle again. Can they catch him? Julian Wiggum in pursuit. He doesn't have the wheels. It's another touchdown if it stands.
Illegal formation. Offense. 5 players in the backfield. 5-yard penalty. Replay first down.
Yeah, and you could see both guys off the ball here, and how that's disappointing if you're Leonard Fournette. You just got a nice wind sprint, 84 yards. And that'll put you over 300.
It's new life for the Syracuse defense, but that is not a confidence boost. You're barely back on the field. You're giving up 87 yards in a touchdown run, even though it gets called back because of the penalty.
And what you're starting to see here is these linebackers having to over-pursue a little bit. That first half, there was a level of patience. You saw the middle linebacker, in particular, Franklin, was beating some of those early blocks to the punch. And that time, a wonderful job in that patience and commitment to the run game. All for naught.
Here's Darius Geis. And that's a different type of running back on the field for LSU. A gain of a couple. John Raymond got him around the ankles. It'll be 2nd down and long.
And eventually you would like to see Brandon Harris evolve to the point where he gets to the line of scrimmage and he can see that whole picture. As young as Mahoney is, and as well as we've documented his inexperience, for Brandon Harris too, to get up there and have enough reps under his belt to be able to look at the formation, not just the defense, make sure my guys are aligned correctly as well, so you don't see game-changing plays come off the board for a pre-snap mistake.
Play clock at 5. And off to Geis. And he runs hard out to the 19-yard line, and what should take us to the end of the 3rd quarter. It'll be 3rd down and 4 for LSU when we start the 4th. Syracuse, a couple of times inside, but it is raucous inside the Carrier Dome as the Syracuse fans are looking for a reason to believe as we start the 4th quarter.
And I go for the jugular. Give me a double move right here. Give me a little slant and go. Lots of your 3rd down passing has been underneath. I think you're going to get some pressure, an opportunity to take a shot.
Leonard Fournette on the sideline. Darrell Williams in at tailback next to Brandon Harris in the shotgun. A rollout for Harris. To the sideline. Incomplete. Syracuse gets a 3rd down stop.
room to grow in the passing game, there's no doubt about it. You don't get away from who you are and the way you're built, and your identity is to run it. And I think over time, there has to be, over the next month, and I've said this over and over, but it's true, their season will be defined by the month of November. The play-action pass has to grow off of their dominant run game.
Well, this game's not over yet, as Grizzly Esteem is looking to give Syracuse good field position again. And this will take a sideways hop. He won't even have to return it for Syracuse to have good field position. Well, you mentioned the pressure on the pass game may be there for LSU, but there's no pressure on the run game. As we take a look not only at Leonard Fournette, but wondering if this type of run reminds you of anyone.
And I think we can all and have to all fight the hype just a little bit. Jadeveon Clowney was the next Lawrence Taylor. I mean, we can jump to those conclusions awfully fast. And the body of work is not 2, 3, 4 seasons as Herschel did at Georgia, but you just look at the body type. That's what stands out to me. He looks like this guy. And now he's not superhuman. He's not a baseball player. He's not breaking baseball bats over his head and hitting 500-foot home runs like Bo. There was not another Bo. But as far as 6'1", 235 and run away from people, that is incredibly unique.
Play action. And fighting his way for a first down is Ben Lewis with a flag thrown late from the secondary as well.
Foul, face mask, on the 13 defense. 15-yard penalty from the end of the run. First down.
That's your nickelback. That's Dwayne Thomas. They missed one earlier. Could have easily been called. They get it right there. And these penalties, this game is 24-10 in the fourth quarter for one reason and one reason alone, penalties. You took away an 85-yard touchdown run because you couldn't get a line. You've had critical negative penalties both offensively and defensively in the special teams game. And you're giving a hometown team with the packed stadium some life.
Mahoney looking for the end zone, well underthrown with a flag down. It's intercepted by Ricky Jefferson in the end zone. Will the play stand? It will not. Ishmael, the intended receiver, and he was interfered with.
And guess what? Another 15-yard penalty. Those hidden yards in the special teams game, you owned them in the first half. It's been the penalties throughout.
The result of the play was a touchback. However, we had pass interference, number 2 defense, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
And Scott Schaefer went right over to Zach Mahoney, realizing this was a bad throw. Bailed out by a penalty call.
Bad by about 8 yards inside. He threw one 8 yards outside earlier out of bounds. And that's just Kevin Tolliver, much like Dwayne Thomas. And there's the clap that we've gotten used to with Les Miles, encouraging guys, trust your technique and the attention to do things right. Even ahead 14 points, and especially ahead on the road.
And for Syracuse, it has to be about a touchdown now. All 4 down territory, you would think, for the Orange in the red zone. On a keeper, it's Mahoney to the end zone. Ishmael was stumbling. Incomplete. No flag this time. Let's go back to admin.
All right, thank you very much, Bob. Just want to update you what's happened in regards to Michigan State, Central Michigan. Gerald Holmes here, the 3-yard touchdown. A MAC school's never beaten a top 2 team, and right now Spartans are up 24-10. Coming up on ABC and ESPN2, John Saunders, Mac Brown. Mayday will be in the studio for this one on ABC and ESPN2. Ohio State taking on Western Michigan. Bob?
Well, Adnan, it's 24-10 here as well. But Syracuse, if they score a touchdown, make it a one-possession game with a lot of time on the clock. Second down and 10, though. They run the option, pitch it to the freshman Dante Strickland. And Brock Ewert, I'm sensing not a fan of that play call.
It was good for the 2-point conversion way back when, I do believe, in the other corner, running the option in 1987 into the short part of the field. That's not going to be good against this team's speed and defense. Now, that may set something up. as you said, this is 4-down territory, and that you may have a look coming off of that sets up a play action pass. But that one is tough in the odds machine to go your way.
Mahoney underneath, inside the 5-yard line. Josh Paris made the catch. Is it a first down? Let's see where they spot the football. Very close. They'll bring out the chains.
He's a different kid. That first down pass should have been a touchdown. Ishmael's got to help him out there. That's really well thrown into the end zone. And he's been erratic, as expected, as a fifth stringer would be coming into this game. But he has really, Mahoney, settled down in this second half.
By the nose of the football. First and goal. Only the second third down conversion of the day for Syracuse. A back pylon throw. Drops in. Incomplete. Jamal Custis had it, but he didn't get a foot down.
Pretty close. I like that anticipation, and you're throwing it right to that back pylon, but a really nice job here of Jefferson to push him out of bounds right there.
Fredericks the tailback, second down and goal, and they'll go Wildcat. Wide left is the quarterback, Zach Mahoney. Fredericks will run it straight ahead. The pile moves. Down to about the 2-yard line, where it will be third down and goal. Devon Gottschall was in the middle of a stout interior for LSU to help make the stop.
Keep an eye in the middle of your line here. I've given a lot of praise to Posick on the other side. Quietly, Rob Trudeau has done a nice job at center. He's the captain. He's the voice. Watch the interior 3 here from Syracuse. So pivotal to get some push.
Play action. A bullet throw into the end zone. This one is good for the touchdown. Ben Lewis has it. And it's a 1-score game.
Think Mahoney's having the time of his life?
LSU has never trailed, but you could see on the faces of some of those LSU fans here at the Carrier Dome, they also never thought it would be this difficult. It's a 7-point game with a lot of time left.
The players, cheerleaders, early seat claimers, the road trip.
CLA in Arizona tonight at 8 on ABC and streaming live on Watch ESPN. Dante Jackson from the goal line for LSU. He's got speed and almost found a crease. This is now a 1-possession game. Why? Well, let's take a look back with our Cars.com drive recap.
A little different rhythm and belief out of your 5th-string quarterback. Can't throw it any better on the play-action pass. He doesn't make this throw. In fact, that's 1 hop in the first quarter. and he is throwing with confidence. That ball was, as you said, ripped to the pylon. When was the last time this dome was this electric? It was a brutal year a season ago. I know 7-6 in the bowl win in Schaefer's first year, but this place is as loud as I've heard it in some time.
Timeout called by Syracuse from the sideline. And anytime you have to call a dead ball timeout on defense because you're not aligned right or the coach doesn't like what he's looking at, you wonder if that's a timeout you'll need later in the fourth quarter. Syracuse calls it here. We'll step aside for just a moment. They brought the noise the whole time we were gone. Fournette for 3 yards to the 30-yard line. And now if it's winning time, you have to think it goes right back to your best player as Zaire Franklin brought down Leonard Fournette.
I've got to be honest, reading these articles this week about pitch count. Wow, aren't you concerned about wearing him down? Look at him. He's a man amongst boys. 216 yards, then had a 200-yard day. What are you worried about?
Fournette again. Close to a first down. It looks like he may have it. Brought down right at the 37-yard line. That's where he needed to get to.
In the NFL, you want to worry about 400 carries or 350 carries and what it does to the back that following year. DeMarco Murray comes to mind, leaving Dallas and going to Philly. I'm sorry, this kid is in the prime of his career. He's 20 years old. He's a freak. I mean, he's just different than the rest. And you worry about him, as I said earlier, and you make sure you take care of him during that work week. You make sure there's no padded practice. He's not getting hit throughout the week. You do everything you can so he can get you go into the game thinking he's going to get us 25 to 30 carries.
And normally those 25 to 30 carries for most teams would translate, you're hoping if you have a really good running back, to 100, maybe 115 yards, somewhere in that range. With him, if he gets 30 carries, he'll put 250 up.
Have you seen him take a blow? Have you seen him get hit hard?
The only time he has even needed a rest, it seems, is when he went 89 yards for a touchdown that got called back because of a penalty. And he needed to head to the sideline. That actually gave Syracuse a chance to get a stop defensively.
You have to hit a play pass at some point eventually.
There he is again. Fournette turned backwards, keeps the play alive. Now he's gang tackled. There's the camera crew for the Syracuse defense. It's a loss of 7.
Call it the camera crew. It's what Coach Schaefer pointed to that they had to have, and you can see all the guys pursuing and getting to the football.
It's the only way to bring him down. Now he's on the sideline for 2nd and 17. Play clock at 7. Play clock at 2. Trap handoff. Darrell Williams. He's got some room. Sandwiched. Back near the original line of scrimmage. A gain of 8. It will be 3rd down and 9. Five-man rush. It's a home run ball. Underthrown and still caught with a flag down. What an adjustment by Traven Durant. And what a huge play for the LSU offense.
Interference, number 1, defense. That penalty is declined. He goes for the play, first out.
And it was all set up by the protection, much like many of the runs we've seen for Fournette have been about the guys up front doing their job. Check out the center, Ethan Postic. Look at him slide all the way out to that outside protection. He's not getting blown back into the quarterback. You're allowing Harris to step up, and he does the right thing. The worst thing you could do in that situation is overthrow it, give your playmaker an opportunity to get it done.
Back pylon throw, looking for a touchdown. Malachi Dupree, he's got it. Touchdown LSU. What an answer. It was hard to tell if Leonard Fournette just needed a rest or if he might be injured. That last shot looked as if he might be injured. But the pass game picks up Leonard Fournette in the run game. And Malachi Dupree with his first touchdown catch of the season makes it a 14-point lead once again. It's what championship level teams do on the road. And
well, by all accounts, there's one area of vulnerability there when you're getting driven into the pile. And the fact that trainers are not around him, he's not left the field, I think he is going to be just fine.
Couple of yards deep, Dante Strickland brings it out. Doesn't even make it to the 20-yard line. Let's head back to Adnan.
All right, Bob, just want to update you what happened with regards to Duke and Georgia Tech. Now, Georgia Tech was actually within 6 points, but they fumbled the ball, and then Shaq Powell says, that's enough of that. Third rushing touchdown of the day. Blue Devils up by 14 over on ESPN2. Just a friendly reminder, Mason Rudolph and Oklahoma State taking on Texas. That is coming up just over 20 minutes from now right here on ESPN. Bob, Brock, back to you guys.
Adnan, thank you. A 2-score lead once again for LSU. Syracuse has shown more offensive ability in the second half than we ever anticipated we might see. Still a lot of time on the clock. And now they'll go empty. Mahoney checks it down to Ben Lewis. And Brock, how much can they reasonably expect to be able to put on the board in the last 9 minutes offensively?
Well, they're going to have to earn it over a long possession and a number of pass plays just like that. LSU, I don't think, is going to put their young corners, their freshmen, out on an island an awful lot. I think you're going to see more zone coverage. And A, to chew up the clock, and B, ask Mahoney to be precise, not for one play, not one home run shot or one pass interference call, but put 7, 8, 9 completions together and keep everything in front of them.
A trap handoff. Maybe a yard for Ben Lewis. Deion Jones made the stop for LSU. Now it'll be 3rd down and at least 3, maybe 4.
And that 3rd down was the killer on that previous drive. You've got 3rd and extra long. You have everything you want. This dome is rocking. And as you said, that LSU quarterback and receiver tandem, Brandon Harrison crew, picked up Leonard Fournette. And now they put the game back and so much pressure back on the 5th stringer.
Tipped ball. On the dive, it looks like it's an interception. Arden Key deflected it on the rush, and Deion Jones got the pick.
Ed Orgeron, little tap on the helmet there, the true freshman. Arden, their most natural pass rusher. And that time, you can run those little stick routes and those little zone beaters all you want. Getting the ball out of your hands. Eventually, we've seen a couple balls tipped already tonight. Arden gets his hands up, and that's why you play that conservative zone. Deion Jones out the first half after his targeting call last week. But his eyes back to the line of scrimmage, and you would think, if you're LSU, a chance to, in the final 7:44, finally put this game in a place to make your 8,000 or so that traveled from Baton Rouge happy.
Well, the only hope you think for Syracuse is our official review now. Ruled an interception on the field, so there has to be indisputable video evidence to overturn the call. And they will go to the replay booth to make sure this was a clean catch for Deion Jones. didn't take long.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. Interception, first down LSU.
Well, that's the way replay's supposed to work. Get a couple of quick looks at it. The replay booth makes a timely decision.
What are you referring to?
We've had a couple that have taken a little longer than that. Let's put it that way. So, and taking a look at very quickly a couple of replays ourselves. It's hard to argue.
That's right.
That the right decision wasn't made. The quick toss to Fournette. Reverses field. Lost a couple of yards in the end. Well, later on tonight, after USC Arizona State, you can keep it locked into SportsCenter at night. Catch all the day's college football highlights, plus all the action from the baseball pennant races as well. SportsCenter at night, kicking off as soon as the game ends between USC and Arizona State tonight on ESPN and streaming live on Watch ESPN. On a keeper, it's Brandon Harris. Turns the corner, down the sideline, inside the 10-yard line.
Smooth operator, and in the run game, you really see some of the maturity and poise and why he beat out Anthony Jennings for this job. He has that component in his game, but as we were chatting with Les Miles yesterday in that end zone, it's that area, that poise, that maturity to get what's there, get out of bounds, and just be a nuisance to a defense. He doesn't want to be some dual threat and run for 100 yards. But if you're going to cheat and you're going to overcommit, he's going to get what's there and a little more.
The freshman nose tackle Stephen Clark shaken up on the play. And you can also see how a defense has affected the entire game by Leonard Fournette. I mean, a fake to Leonard Fournette, it seemed like that whole front seven was paying attention to number 7. While we have a moment, let's check in again with Adnan.
All right, thank you, Bob. Just a friendly reminder, coming up, Ohio State, a little wobbly last week against Northern Illinois. Maybe Urban Meyer just gives the ball a lot more to Ezekiel Elliott. Ohio State is taking on Western Michigan. That's coming up on ABC and ESPN2. And Charlie Strong and Texas from Austin will be taking on Oklahoma State. That game is coming up next right here on ESPN. Bob, back to you.
Thanks, Adnan. First and goal for LSU. And now they'll continue to work on the clock as well. That'll be a false start.
Snap infraction, number 77. Offense, 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
12 LSU penalties. They struggled with penalties through the first 2 weeks, and they've added 40 yards to their average today. A quick toss to Fournette, diagnosed quickly by Donnie Simmons.
That's maybe the first time that first contact has knocked him sideways or backwards all evening. And you can see a lot of conversation at the line of scrimmage over the previous 2 snaps. A bunch of that is trying to communicate in a check with me situation for Brandon to get to the play they want. First time he sat there an awfully long time. I think that offensive line getting jumpy, and that time give the senior Simmons some credit for seeing the option come right his way.
Second down and goal, but all the way back to the 20-yard line. Brandon Harris flushed out of the pocket. Bullets one to the front pylon, and it's dropped. Coming back to help out his quarterback was John Diarse, but it went right through his hands. Now it's third down and goal, and Brock, I would think just strategically, a field goal for LSU here is every bit as good. Looks like, barring really a meltdown here, they're going to do that today.
Especially on the road, you've got to overcome a lot of penalties. You'd love to see the passing game come to life when it had to, when this was a 7-point game. And some inexperience that's going to grow over the next month of this season defensively.
Harris tipped ball. Almost intercepted. It fell in no man's land. Diarce again was the intended receiver. And a dangerous play in a situation where a field goal makes it a 3-possession game.
Yeah, that's one of those fastballs that you just can't have in that situation. A little bit of touch. Learning to use the off speed every once in a while is okay. Brandon's got such a gun, but that could have been catastrophic. Tipped, intercepted the other way.
Trent Domang made his only field goal attempt in this game from 21 yards away, but it was a low liner. This one from 37. And that is the way it's supposed to look. Right down the middle. So LSU now doubling up Syracuse with a little over 5 minutes to play. Just 10:30, number 19 USC looking to get back on track. They're on the road, a conference test with Arizona State Saturday night on ESPN and streaming live on Watch ESPN.
They're going to play that game? I thought Cliff Kingsbury thought that A&M game was already decided. No?
I would say Cliff Kingsbury, his team got their licks in on the field last week, and then he got a couple of solid licks in on Brett Bielema after the game was over.
I don't know if I'd play that card, but I guess he's learning from maybe his predecessor there, the Mad Pirate out of Lubbock, that was willing to take maybe a few more shots and risks.
Esteem from the one. To the 25-yard line before he's brought down, and we go back to Adnan once again.
All right, Bob. Purdue's lost to a MAC school 2 years in a row. They're facing Bowling Green with just 12 seconds left. Look at Travis Green, the 12-yard touchdown. Bowling Green wins it 35-28. What a fun, valiant last rush that was for them. Up next on ABC and ESPN2, Frank Beamer and Virginia Tech taking on the Pirates of East Carolina. Great college football continues. Bob.
All right, Adnan, thanks very much. Well, Bowling Green pulls off what has to be at least considered a mild upset. And Syracuse fought valiantly for a long time this afternoon against LSU. Zach Mahoney, well protected, throws one up the seam right through the hands of his receiver, Josh Paris. That throw came out sideways as well. It'll be 3rd down and 10. Devontae McFarland, the intended receiver. So it looks like LSU, Brock, will make it 50 consecutive wins in the regular season against non-conference opponents, and they will just add to their FBS record. And there are plenty of games in there that are not cupcakes. They've got 13 wins in this streak against top 25 teams. Now, Nick Saban accounted for the first 10 wins of the streak, and the next 40 will be Les Miles.
Yeah, and Nick Saban actually Alabama #2 right now as far as second on that list of current long active streaks at 30 games. Pretty remarkable consistency there for Les and crew.
Good throw to the sideline. Lewis makes the catch. Well, for LSU, looking forward, you talked about this, the gauntlet that they will have to run towards the end of their season. 3 years ago, they were 6-2 in the SEC. 2 years ago, 5-3. Last year, 4-4. This year, they start off 2-0 by winning their first 2 games. And obviously, the next big test that you really circle is Alabama.
And they've got to be a little bit better on the road. Last year on the road, there were some struggles to see a Tide fan in the house. And going to South Carolina is, you know, there's no kidding. I think you learned that today in a one-possession game midway through the 4th quarter. They've got to turn that intensity up just a little bit when they leave the Bayou, because down there, there's no challenge. And I don't think there's any issue, and more than likely we'll run the table. But it's going to be those road games, and they've got to be better than they were today at South Carolina. And then ultimately, when that does turn, that calendar turns to November, and Les knows this, at Alabama, at Ole Miss, got to play much, much better than they did this afternoon.
Well, they've lost their last 4 to Alabama. So that's where sometimes those conference championship, national championship hopes have been derailed. Catch is made out to about the 45-yard line this time by Josh Paris. A couple of yards shy of the Syracuse first down.
And they'll get Jalen Mills back. And a very good secondary, should be the most elite in the SEC once he returns from an ankle injury. But to me, it's the nastiness of this front seven. They have got to continue to grow and get better. Fournette has dominated this month of September. But this crew rushing forward, doing what they want to do, and the way they want to play with Ed Orgeron and Kevin Steele in this defense, I think there's some room for growth to just be nastier at the line of scrimmage defensively.
And when Fournette went out and they needed some pass plays on that last touchdown drive, the growth for Brandon Harris, can a quarterback take a big step forward just by making 2 throws in crunch time on the road?
No, but you know what else he is doing, which just kind of remains silent and quiet? He's not turning the ball over. They're taking care of you. You play defense, you run the ball. You want to continue to add to that by really being so guarded and careful in your own possession, and he's done a wonderful job of that.
4th down and 2, and the keeper for Mahoney. And he's got a 1st down and more. So a 4th down conversion for Syracuse. Oklahoma State, Texas. That game is getting underway. If you're looking for that game, it is on ESPN3. And as soon as we are done here at the Carrier Dome, we will take you to that matchup in the Big 12.
That's like just a little indicative of what I was saying. Just get off blocks. You're used to seeing these LSU defenses that have been so good there between the tackles out on the edge, with just difference makers that win at the point of attack.
Mahoney to the sideline. Ishmael makes the catch.
And while the sack numbers are nice, it's because they played from ahead a little bit, right, in both openers, and in the opener and even last week against Auburn, they got to play with a little bit of a lead, pin their ears back. When you play a little bit more balanced teams, experienced teams, and you play with the style they want to, with some of that speed and simplicity defensively, the Locatures, the Godchaws, now the true freshman Key, Neal, you'd like to see them shed blocks, make even more negative plays.
There's Ishmael again. Mahoney looking for the end zone, and Ben Lewis. That ball floats out of bounds. And Ben Lewis came down and maybe had the wind knocked out of him.
And on the other side, if you're Scott Schaefer today, he was realistic yesterday. And he, I think, felt very confident that his team and his young, inexperienced quarterback would eliminate some fear as the game went along, and I think they did. And he's got to be quite pleased at the effort and the want-to of his team. He's going to point to a couple specific plays. Right, the punt return touchdown, the big explosive play, the huge play on 3rd down. They were right in this thing to crunch time in the 4th.
It'll be 3rd down and 10. Dante Strickland, the intended receiver.
And you didn't even get to see Eric Dungy, who they are behind the scenes thrilled and excited about. To have to start as many different quarterbacks, 5 different starters at this position in their last 7 games. I don't care how good a coach you are and how wonderful your X's and O's, it's not going to work. And they really feel like Dungy is going to be a difference maker, and this kid will be his backup.
They spent 3 years basically with Ryan Nassib as the uninterrupted starter. Now he, of course, a 4th round draft choice of the Giants, backing up Eli Manning. This might be a free play for Syracuse. Mahoney can't take advantage. It was offsides against LSU. But you go from 3 years of nothing but Ryan Nassib taking all the snaps to 4 quarterback starting games last year, and now you're on to your 4th quarterback this year.
Offside, 92, defense, 5-yard penalty, remains 3rd down. The clock will start on the snap.
That's a recipe for disaster. And for Les, I think he feels behind the scenes very good about his quarterback. That he really talked about a practice week that you don't get to see, you being the media or a lot of the public, where Brandon is really growing in his pass game. And he doesn't have to be perfect. He doesn't have to complete 20 passes a game. It's those deep balls and giving his athletes an opportunity to make something happen down the field as he did today.
Mahoney extends the play. Trying to scramble for a 1st down, and he's got it. First and 10 at the 11.
All right, just a friendly reminder right now, if you're looking for Oklahoma State and Texas, that'll be starting on ESPN3. But at the conclusion of the LSU-Syracuse game you're currently watching on ESPN, we'll go out to Austin and bring you the Cowboys and the Longhorns. Back to Syracuse.
Incomplete for Devontae McFarland. So that'll stop the clock with 2:09 to go. And this will be the 14th play coming up on this drive for Syracuse.
What do you think the first phone call when he talks to mom and dad? When he calls them today after the game, or they're here, I think they may even be here today. The first conversation, I always remember that. My dad was my coach, and I can remember my first NFL start and walking out, or my first collegiate start and having that chance to sit and talk to my family, and it didn't go perfectly. You would love to have had an unbelievable win, a huge underdog, 20-some plus points. But I bet there are going to be a lot of hugs after this game because of the courage that he showed really throughout.
At the goal line, looking for a flag, is Josh Parris. No flag comes out. Ricky Jefferson was there in coverage for LSU. It'll be 3rd down and 10 for the 11.
Stare down fear. You hear the great teams and the great athletes say that. 5 of 13 for 35 yards and 1 hopping passes in the first half. And you could read my body language like, oh man, this isn't going well. This wasn't very pretty. And look at this kid in the second half. Look at his response to adversity and the 2 touchdown passes and keeping plays alive, and even a possession like this. Right? And people are going to quantify this as garbage time. No, not for him, not for the opportunity of a lifetime when he pushed the envelope to get here.
Takes a bump out of bounds, and there's the flag. Another penalty called against LSU. Looked like Deion Jones hit Zach Mahoney as he ran out.
And now that one to the penalty reel for LSU, whether they watch it on their iPads on the way home or they wait tomorrow.
After the play, personal foul, laid it out of bounds. Number 45 defense. Half the distance to the goal, automatic 1st down.
You see some of the speed there from Deion, the fastest linebacker. And it's a little nudge. I think it's just a matter of where it is on the field. Don't give me that face. You protect the quarterback's Bob.
That is definitely a fragile quarterback talking. As Mahoney lines up at the 5-yard line. 1st and goal. He throws it out, and that works perfectly. It's a touchdown to Dante Strickland.
Well, 3 touchdown passes in the second half against a vaunted LSU secondary and defense, albeit keeping everything in front. And once again, another nice concept. You get exactly what you want. Offensively, the rub route. Defensively, the pick route. Man defense, and you pick them off, and Mahoney delivers 3 touchdown passes here in the second half.
I'm not sure Syracuse began that drive as they huddled up, as they at times took their time, thinking that it was anything more than an educational drive for Zach Mahoney. But now you're down 10 with 1:53 to go and 2 timeouts. Yep. You have to think you're going to line up for an onside kick.
Is struggling. And I think there's opportunities. You play this kind of game. You put your kids in the right spots and you play with this kind of effort, you're going to win 3 more games, if not 4, and get back to the bowl game that I think is a realistic goal for the Orange this year.
The hands team is out there for LSU. Ryan Norton, the backup place kicker, has it on the tee, set for the onside kick. They get the hop they're looking for, but what a job of climbing the ladder to haul it in by DJ Chark. That's why you put your wide receivers out there. And with that rush pressing down on him, great concentration by Chark to make sure he secured the football.
You made this point earlier about that timeout, that one extra timeout that you burned defensively, and then have your personnel out on the field. With all three of those timeouts, if you were to get that stop, you get the ball back with more time, and unfortunately burning one of those early.
Fournette picked up 5.
Now, I said to you earlier about that whole pitch count deal, that you don't worry about it. I don't put him in the game right now. This game is 99.99999 over.
Timeout. Syracuse, that is their second charge timeout. This will be a 30-second timeout.
When it's over next week against Eastern Michigan, it's got to be something you build upon and you clean up. When you go to Columbia, South Carolina, you're going to have to clean up these penalties and the negative plays.
It must feel good, though, when you're going to Alabama, going to Ole Miss, if you're Les Miles, to say, you know what, one thing I can lean on, if we had a draft tomorrow and all the players were on the board, they'd take Leonard Fournette first, too. As he turns the corner. There he goes. Delivers punishment inside the 15-yard line.
Are you with me here? Are you continuing to give Fournette these touches and these carries now at this juncture?
Well, you talked earlier about if you manage him from Sunday to Friday appropriately, then maybe there really doesn't need to be any kind of a pitch count, as he's approaching 250 yards rushing, up to 244 with 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, but the game is decided.
Yes.
So you play to win, and you do whatever it takes, whatever you have to do with your number of carries. But here you go. Game's decided, take a knee.
Now it's victory formation.
And he'll be atop the Heisman hype and conversation again, as he should be.
So LSU struggled with field position, special teams, penalties throughout the game. But when you're a top 10 team, you go on the road. Maybe when you're not at your best, you find a way.
Yep.
And that's just what Les Miles' team did today. It was a valiant effort from Scott Schaefer's group here in Syracuse. But LSU did exactly what they needed to do when they needed to do it.
That's right. And if you're Scott, you're going to tip your cap and you're going to say, Fournette, you're a man amongst boys. We'll go pat you on the rear end and say you are a beast and a freak and one of the best in college football. And then you're going to tell your guys, look at this. Here's the reality, man. Here was a third down play. Here was a punt return. Here was a play where you have a sack in the first half. You just limit those explosive plays. It may have been an even better ball game even later today at home. LSU's got to get better. If they're going to beat Bama and Ole Miss, I have got to see a little bit better play action passing game. Got to see a little bit more nastiness out of that front 4 and that front 7. But a good one on the road that Les will have plenty to teach from and be encouraged about moving forward.
So this will do it here at the Carrier Dome. 34-24, the final. LSU outlasts Syracuse. It's time now to send it to Oklahoma State and Texas.
Last week for Texas with a shoulder injury against Cal.